One of our Let's Go family members asked if Princess has asked me to not mention the Sun Princess. So we're going to talk about that today. Also, big news coming out of Royal Caribbean and the very interesting way that they are going to determine their new itinerary on their world cruise that is currently underway. Princess is changing their cancellation policy, so something we need to take note of there. Also, a really cool way to see that total solar eclipse that is coming on April 8th of this year. And finally, a heads up for you if you are considering doing a cruise out of Vancouver in 2026, as well as some information that I think will be very valuable to you, no matter when you are going to sail out of Vancouver. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Wednesday. It is February 21st of 2024. We are back at headquarters and really happy to be back. We missed you all for a few days there and we really appreciate those of you who missed us. So thank you. It's really nice to be with you again. So let's start at the top talking about the Sun Princess. Like I said, one of our Let's Go family members commented under one of our videos just yesterday, I believe it was, and asked if Princess had asked me not to mention the Sun Princess. Well, nope, they haven't asked me to not mention the Sun Princess. And here are a few things on my mind about the Sun Princess. First of all, if you missed the videos that I did right after Princess canceled the second sailing of the Sun Princess, go back and watch those. Last Tuesday night, I did a video really late at night so that it would be ready for you on Wednesday morning, letting everyone know that didn't already know that February 18th sailing of the Sun Princess was canceled. The following video that I did that also was up last Wednesday was all about what I think about the cancellation of the Sun Princess. And I will say I am really still on pins and needles. I am so very hopeful that ship will actually sail on February 28th. And let me tell you some things that go along with that. First of all, today, like I said, February 21st, so we are a week out from when that next will end up being the first inaugural cruise now, hopefully. We are a week out from when that cruise is supposed to sail from Rome. As of right now, I just barely checked. That ship is still sitting. The Sun Princess is still sitting at the shipyard up there in by Trieste in Italy. So if you look at the map, it'll have to sail down the Adriatic, come around the boot of Italy, and then come up to Rome. I don't know what day she is going to set sail, but I'm keeping my eye on that. Now, I have noticed that on social media, there are a lot more pictures of the interior of the Sun Princess. For a really long time, we would see a few shots here and there of the interior of the ship or the exterior, but a lot of what we were seeing until quite recently were really the artists' renditions of what it was going to look like on that ship. So I think it's encouraging that we are seeing a lot more footage, snapshots, as well as video of what it actually looks like inside that ship. By no means is it the entire ship, but there are snippets out here. I've noticed it on their Facebook, on their Instagram. There's a lot more. There's pictures of the President John Paget here and there on the ship. The one that came to my mind first was him sitting at a table there in the casino, but up on the bridge, he is up there with officers. So there are all of these pictures coming out, which makes me really hopeful that ship is going to go February 28th. Why does it matter to me? Because I think it is so important for everyone that has their vacation of a lifetime booked on that sailing. And to me, as you will notice in the video that I put out last Wednesday, to me that's the most heartbreaking thing about this ship not sailing on time, is people were scheduled to go February 8th, then they were also people hoping to go on February 18th, and of course there are people on those cruises that have been there before and are going to go again. There's a whole lot of people that aren't. To me, that is the most heartbreaking part of those cruises being canceled. So we will be keeping our eye on it. Let me know if any of you are hearing anything. I was really hopeful that February 18th sailing was going to go. I'll tell you, Gordon and I we're on the wait list for March 19th. I am really hoping that our wait list will get picked up. So far it hasn't, but I really hope it has. I am so excited to show that ship to all of you, experience it ourselves, get to tell you about it, and help everyone that is thinking about about going, be so excited to go, and just talk to you about the whole experience. And I love the Mediterranean anyway, so any excuse to go to the Mediterranean I think is a good one. I am one of those people. It is my goal to go to the Mediterranean every year. I missed last year in 2023, and I felt that. And so we're really looking forward to being able to do that. And I am so excited to hear from all of you as soon as you are able to sail on the Sun Princess as well. I know that we've got Let's Go family members who mentioned that they're on that February 28th sailing. And so I wish you all the very best and hope you get to go. Next, really quickly, I put my video up yesterday with a lot of information for those of you that are first-time cruisers or that you haven't been for a while, or your first time to Princess, and a lot of what I talked about works on any cruise line, all right? But a couple of questions are coming up, so I just want to try to cover those every now and again. One thing that people asked me is, can you still book your own hotel accommodations for pre and post cruise stays even if you use Princess Easy Air? Yes. Princess Easy Air, using that does not tie you to where you stay in a hotel. It doesn't tie you to anything else on that trip. You'll notice when you book your Princess Easy Air flights that you get to choose easily the dates that you want to arrive in your destination and the dates you want to leave. So if you want to stay an extra week or two, you can do that. If you want to fly in and get yourself to the ship and get yourself off the ship, no obligation to that. So no worries. Those of you that are new, Princess does offer hotels. Usually they are the pre and post. Depends on where you are. Every once in a while they will offer one that's for a couple of nights, pre or post. Usually it's just for one night before or after a cruise. When you book that, Princess will meet you at the airport. When you fly in the day before, they will transport you to that hotel. You'll stay the night in that hotel, and the next morning they will take you to the ship. It works the same way if you book a hotel post-cruise. They'll take you from the ship to that hotel, and then the next morning if you're flying out, they'll take you to the airport for your flight. And if you're not flying out that day, you can go wherever you want to continue your journey. All right, it works really simply. They do charge extra for that because your transfers are included. It's the luxury of having someone meet you at the airport and take you to that hotel and then take you to the ship. So they do charge for that convenience and the luxury of having that. So let me know if you've got questions about that. Alrighty, let's talk about Royal Caribbean for a minute here, and then we're going to talk about that change on the Princess cancellation policy. So as we have been hearing with the other cruise lines, due to what is going on in the Middle East, they are having to, the cruise lines with world cruises underway are having to make changes to their itineraries to accommodate not being able to go to that region so much. Here's really an interesting thing though. Royal Caribbean is actually letting the passengers who are on board vote. So let me tell you what the two options are, and then I think it would be really fun for all of you to tell me how you would vote. If you were on board that ship, which itinerary would you choose? And if you want to, I thought it would be even funner. You can say what you think I would choose, okay? And then remind me, and I'll let you know. If I forget, I'll tell you in our live on Friday night. So let's start off. The first option, it's called their Immersive Africa itinerary. So you're going to end up getting 2 stops in the Seychelles. You're going to get to go to Madagascar. You're going to go to Mauritius, Reunion Island. You've got 3 ports in South Africa, 2 in Namibia, Angola, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Senegal, the Canary Islands, then the UK, then back to Corfu, Greece, and then ending in Ravenna. Okay, Ravenna, Italy there. So if you're not familiar with Ravenna, I've told you before, it's just a little south from Venice, and it's one of the cruise ports that cruise ships use now that they are no longer able to sail into that lagoon there in Venice. And the other option that you have got, and then I should have also told you the port stops that they are taking off, but the other itinerary that people can choose from, you're going to end up with a lot more sea days. Basically, overall, you're going to go to the Seychelles. You're going to have an overnight in Cape Town, South Africa, so 2 days there. Then you're going to go to the Canary Islands, and then here's the really big difference. You get an overnight in Alexandria, Egypt. You go to Athens, Greece, Mykonos, Santorini, Santorini, Greece. Your stop at the port there, Hania and Crete, Olympia, Greece, Corfu, Greece, then Bari, Italy, and then you're going to end up in Ravenna there as well. And so just knowing what I really enjoy, and that our cruise that was supposed to call in Alexandria, Egypt in October on Celebrity, that was taken off the itinerary. It sounds like I would probably choose that, but I'm honestly having a really hard time. That's why I'm going to tell you and let you vote on it, because how cool is it to go to all of those places in Africa? And those are not places that Royal Caribbean generally goes. So that is enormous that they have lined up an extraordinary immersive Africa itinerary like that. So like I said, vote on what you think, and we'll talk about that Friday night. Quickly, the ports that they have had to take off of that sailing: Oman, Jordan, Israel, Cyprus, the Suez Canal. They were going to go through the Suez Canal. Remember, you have to get into the Red Sea to do that, and that's a no-go right now. Bulgaria, Romania, and Turkey. Those are all the ports they are not going to go to. If you look at the map, it makes perfect sense when you think of everything there. Although Bulgaria, Romania, Turkey, I don't think that they haven't taken those off for a safety reason. Cruise ships are still going to those places. Now, what do you get if you, of course, they are offering compensation because they are not going to the places that you expected. So if everyone chooses the immersive African itinerary, they point out that that is richer in port experiences. Guests will receive 25% off the prorated segment 3 cruise fare in the form of in the form of onboard credit for the voyage that they are currently on. And if everyone else ends up choosing that Africa and Greece itinerary, and remember that Africa is pretty much just that overnight there in Cape Town, South Africa, that one you get a 50% off of the prorated segment 3 cruise fare, and you also get that in the form of refundable onboard credit. It's really important to note that both of those onboard credits are refundable. It's a really big deal to have refundable onboard credit. That means that if you come to the end of your cruise and you haven't spent that money, and remember, it might be quite a bit of money with what's going on with that world cruise and how much you paid for it, that you will get that money back. All right, so that's huge. So they have a program set up. Clear until yesterday. You could submit your questions. February 21st, so that's today, there's going to be a webinar hosted with the corporate office where they'll answer all your pre-submitted questions. So by yesterday you submit them. Today they've got that special webinar there in the Tropical Theater. February 26th, you're going to vote on your preferred itinerary, and on the 27th they are going to say what itinerary received the most votes and where that cruise ship is going to go. And honestly, I would be really happy to go on either itinerary with that. It sounds fabulous. So just fun to think about. Now, before I tell you about the cancellation policy change with Princess, I would like to invite you to please subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you as a Let's Go family member. I think you will really enjoy keeping up to date with everything that we talk about here. So hit that subscribe button, and if you hit that little bell next to it, you will get a notification every time we go live or put up a video. Also, if you appreciate my updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media or with anyone that you know who would benefit. So thank you very much. Alrighty, starting with all cruises that are booked on March 4th, Princess is changing their cancellation policy. So effective with, let me read you the official release here. It says, effective with new bookings made on or after March 1st, our 100% cancellation fee policy will shift to 30 days prior to sail date, as the current policy of 14 days prior to sail date will be discontinued. And so all of the existing bookings that are currently, you've got now, and everything that you make through March 3rd, those will follow the current policy. But then after that, rather than if you cancel within 14 days, the cancellation fee being your whole cruise, that is going to be shifting to 30 days out. So they're actually making the window, instead of having clear up into 14 days before you sail, you're going to need to know up to 30 days before you sail. Alrighty, so let me tell you the breakdown here really quick. So if you have to cancel your cruise 90 days or more out, there is no cancellation fees. If you cancel it 75 to 89 days out, it's 25% of the total charge charges. If you cancel 61 to 74 days before your cruise sails, it is 50% of the total charge. If you cancel 31 to 60 days, it's going to be 75% of the charge, meaning that's how much you don't get back. And then if you have to cancel 30 days or more, 30 days or less closer to your cruise, it is 100% of how much you have paid. So to me, this really highlights the need for insurance. And I want to tell you this, when you go to the Princess website, down at the bottom of the page, or just there on their main page, down at the bottom in the left-hand column, you will see where it says Princess Vacation Protection. Click on that. It takes you to their webpage where you can read about their insurance. And then you will also be able to see where you can click to see what's covered in the standard insurance, what is covered in the platinum insurance. And then it also has it, once you click through, you can enter your state and it'll bring up, I think it's like 60 pages long. I read it one time. It brings up what is covered, how it all works. And I think that you should read that and go through it enough, familiarize yourself a little bit so that you know what is going on. Here and there, just the other day, I saw someone post on our Facebook group a page of that about that. Wondering if their cruise is going to be covered by insurance, how all of this works. And so the bottom line is either look at your cruise and be willing to lose how much that cruise costs, okay, or get insurance to cover it. That is really what the answer is. And the nice thing that goes along, if you do get the insurance, it's going to include like some medical coverage, some accident coverage. It's going to include some trip interruption, just some things like that. So with Princess, their insurance is like Holland America. Their lower one, their standard is really just cruise cancellation. It doesn't cover medical or anything else. With them, you have to get the higher level of coverage to get the other. With Princess, it includes some. So the answer is you have to really think about what your tolerance is for risk, how much risk you can manage effectively in your life, and then make your choice. But this change in the cancellation policy opens that window to 30 days rather than just 14 that you're going to lose 100% of what you've paid for your cruise. Alrighty? And with Princess, you can add the insurance clear up until you make the final payment, till the final payment date. Alrighty? So I think that's valuable. The next thing, and this is so exciting. Okay, so as you all know, we have our Eclipse cruise, and I wish it wasn't sold out. So if anybody wanted to add, they could come. But that total solar eclipse that is happening on April 8th follows the path of totality, is really just thin ribbon. So down close to Mazatlan is where we will be cruising, so that we are in that path of totality. But when you look at the map, it basically goes up from Texas and kind of goes across the United States a little bit up through Maine. And so if you don't live in the path of totality, or you want to see it in a really cool way, Delta Airlines is offering a flight that follows that. They have also identified 5 other flights that when you take those flights, you are going to be partially in that path of totality and get to see part of it. And so first of all, the flight that they have got is going to leave Austin, Texas at 12:15, and this is on April 8th, and it's going to, which is about the same time that the solar eclipse is supposed to start there. The flight will then follow a narrow track of the total solar eclipse before landing in Detroit at 4:20 p.m. So it's approximately a 4-hour flight. And then it says, although this is a regularly scheduled flight, Delta is swapping their normal Airbus A319 aircraft that usually goes on that route for an A220 because it has larger windows, giving passengers a better chance of experiencing that total solar eclipse. It's so fun. In addition to that one flight that Delta is offering that you can fly and just follow the path there, they have 5 other flights that you can fly on that will give you a really good shot at seeing the total eclipse. And so flight 5699 is going to go at 2:59. Flight 924, I should have to say this, LAX to Dallas Fort Worth is leaving at 8:40 a.m. on that day. Delta 2869 is going from LAX to San Antonio, leaving at 9 in the morning. Another one is going flight 1001 from Salt Lake City to San Antonio, leaving at 10:08. And finally, flight 1683 from Salt Lake City to Austin, Texas, leaving at at 9:53 a.m. When we are on the Discovery Princess, it is going to be around noon that we have totality. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try out the Wi-Fi on the ship and see if it will really support a live. And if it is, I thought that might be kind of fun. We'll just have to kind of see, but I thought that would be a really cool way to do it. The only worry that I have is when we were on the Northern Lights cruise and we were trying to show you all the Northern Lights, it had a really hard time picking it up. So we'll fiddle around with what we think a live can do in the dark and get back to you. Finally, let's talk about cruising out of Vancouver. Hopefully this will be helpful to a lot of you who are looking at those Alaska cruises in 2026, but also I think this will help a lot if you're doing Alaska this year from Vancouver, 2025, and further on down the road. So first of all, if you are thinking of going on a cruise out of Vancouver from June 8th through July 3rd of 2026, keep in mind that that is when Vancouver will be hosting the World Cup. So with that, there are going to be a lot more crowds for hotels, crowds for restaurants, crowds using public transportation, crowds everywhere, and Vancouver will be a lot higher at that time. Also, they are expecting a shortage of hotel rooms, and the hotel rooms that there are there in the city, they are expecting them to be a lot more expensive. So there are some workarounds for that. I still think it's wonderful to sail out of Vancouver. It's beautiful to sail out of Seattle. It's even more spectacular to sail out of Vancouver. So when you're looking at doing that, please be aware that the cruise lines offer shuttles that go between the port in Vancouver and SeaTac Airport there in Seattle, and vice versa. So if you end up flying into Seattle, you can get the cruise line shuttle that will take you up to the port there in Vancouver, and then on disembarkation day, they will bring you back to the airport there in Seattle. That is really helpful so that you don't have to pay those higher rates. You can get a hotel there close to the airport in Seattle, or if you want to do sightseeing anywhere, you can get your hotel wherever you would like in Seattle. But then also, often flights are cheaper flying into Seattle than to Vancouver, so no matter when you're going, you might want to take a minute and check out the flights to Seattle as well as checking the flights to Vancouver. Another quick note about that is how long that shuttle generally takes between Seattle Airport and the cruise port there in Vancouver. I think the fastest that Gordon and I have ever been on one was maybe about the bus driver drove really fast because some people had booked their flights too early who were on our bus, and so he really zipped along, and then we were fortunate to get a really quick border crossing there going from Canada to the United States, and I would say it was an hour and a half to 2 hours right in that window of time. But then I have also, the last time I did it, it was 3 hours and 45 minutes because we had such a long time that it took to cross the border there. And so make sure that if you do that, you add in a lot of extra time so that your flight is a lot later in the day in Seattle or go home the next day. They do run a lot of flights though out of Seattle that are later, so it should hopefully not be a problem. And then the other thing to remember is on the morning that you are going to take that shuttle to get up to the ship, remember that you're going to need to be to the airport earlier because you have to have all that extra time. And so the transfers that take you from the SeaTac Airport to the port in Vancouver are going to stop running a lot earlier than they will, for example, if you fly into Seattle and you're going to cruise out of Seattle. They can take you a lot closer to the time the ship is going to sail because there's not so far to go. So keep all of that in mind when you're trying to decide where you're going to fly into, where you're going to get that hotel, and how you're going to get to the ship. Let me know if you've got any questions about that. I will see you all here again tomorrow. I appreciate you being here with me today, and I will be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.